Okay. Hello everybody, welcome to this class. I'm really excited because I'm bringing you Painting Perfection with MCS. So we've got a really interesting workshop for you where I'm going to show you how to take the designs and put them onto your own design or recreate it using the images that we've got that I've painted for you. They've been put onto the USB and then you're going to be able to make lots of different projects. So before we get started, I'm going to give you a little taste of some of the projects. You may have seen some of them in the show, but for those of you that missed it, let's take a look at them. So this is working with rice papers actually on a wooden surface. You can see it looks really effective. Little tip for you, it does look like this has been printed actually directly onto the surface, but in fact it's printed on the rice paper's applied. But that little tip, paint the surface white. It makes a lot of difference. Certainly makes the image a lot brighter. And then I'd like to just share with you another one that I've got here. Now, this one has been done using the rice papers. And what we've done again is made the design, but because this area is larger than A4, it's been split over two papers to still get that really big, strong depth of design that we want. Really interesting, but super, super exciting. I love the effect that this gives you. And great way of enhancing a chest of drawers. So think about this now. Those big projects that we've got at home, furniture pieces, we can be doing that. The other thing that I love about using this method of decoration is that once you've made a design, if you want to do multiples, it's really quick and easy to do. I've got to say a big thank you to Vicky Deakin for bringing these beautiful samples. And of course, David's had a hand in as well. But when you take a look at this, and I'm going to put these on the overhead so you can see them a little bit closer. But you've got the frames are actually on the USB. So you're going to see, and I'm going to demonstrate how to actually make these frames. Once you work with them and you've chosen the design, you're going to print them out so they're actually already in the shape. So that template is on the USB for you. And then you're going to roll them to be able to make the frame shape, which eventually will become dimensional. And then building in the image that you can see here so that you've got that lovely look and feel. And then if I bring in another one of those designs, this one is a circle and has been designed to create an easel card for us. But what's so interesting about it is having the lace behind, that lovely lace border, and then the decorative painting over the top. And a card that I absolutely love because the way that this has been put on with almost a drop shadow behind it and the layers and bringing in, we're using that ombre effect that we've got, the faded edges, you've got something that looks like the paper has been torn, but it's got the lace edges. The flowering looks like it's dimensional, and all of that is on just a couple of layers of card. So it's a very clever way of doing your card making. And then if I come onto a matte finish printed card, the lace lays over the top, and then this beautiful flower over the top of that, giving it a real punch. And of course, you've got the beautiful alphabet on there as well. But if you're looking for something that really stands out, I think it has to be this one. And you'll be noticing all these different flowers that we're going to find on this USB. So again, we've got the floral lace behind it, the flowers over the top, the black, which is actually not just the printed image, but the white is also a printed border, and then it's matted onto a black edge. So I've got a black edge there, which you can just hear, but again, looks superb. And then also a slightly larger piece, a larger frame. And here, the frame pieces of panels have been printed. The actual panel in the center has been designed. The flowers laid out. The lace behind it, building up the pattern, giving you these rice paper effects. And it really is a stunning piece. If you were selling your projects and you wanted to make this multiple times, then Absolutely, this is the quickest way of you being able to do that because you can print it out as many times as you like. And don't forget, using Minecraft Studio, we can also change the colours. So I'm going to take you on my journey with Minecraft Studio, and it actually started a very long time ago. In fact, it started right at the concept of the actual program itself. And I wanted you to have a program, and I'd been working with some of the other big programs like Photoshop, for instance, which is hugely expensive, even to this day, because it's used in a professional graphics background. So I wanted something that was affordable to all crafters. So we created Minecraft Studio over a very long period of time. It's about 18 months, but it stood the test of time because it does what we want it to do. It does it easily. And if you've never used it before, I'm going to take you on that little journey and show you a few little tricks. So first of all, you have got right up here, if you look at this top purple bar that we've got right at the very top, you've got a help button. If I click into that help, not only can I look at my history and everything else, but I go into help and I've got this huge program of lots of different how-tos. And what I love is it lets you pick up where you left off. So you can go to the last page that you read and then actually keep going from there. So there is a whole host of information there. But also, don't forget, the other place that you can go is you can go to our monthly free classes, and you'll find all of those on our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. You'll get lots of free education there, not just how to use Minecraft Studio, but also how to actually work with and make the designs that you create into projects. Right, so your USB is going to arrive. We're going to place it into our computer and it's going to turn up here. So on the side, I'm just drawing your attention to where it says artwork. Wherever there's a plus sign, it means there's something in that folder. So I've clicked on Painting Perfection, Design Your Own Digital Painting. And you can see there, I've got alphabet, backing papers, cardstock, florals, lace, and templates. Now, this is where you can see all of those folders on the side. I'm going to go straight into the backing papers because I'm going to double click on there and it's instantly going to bring me up the papers that we've got on in this collection. And there are 20 of these already designed for you. If I take any of those images and I drag and drop them onto my page, it literally is as simple as drag and drop. Now, I like to work without the grid on. So I'm actually going to turn off the grid, and you can also turn off the rulers. And all of those little elements are up here amongst the guide collection. So I'd be printing this off. So I've got it as a quick reference so I can see each of the designs. But let's pull some of them on and have a look at them. So I've got the beautiful flower with the delphiniums. But what I also love is I've got the background without. So here you can see this with some of my little ditzy blossoms, and then I've got it without. So each of these images that you can see here, you can use as they are, or you can play with them and make your own designs. Now, the projects that I'm going to do for you, I'm actually going to have those attached to this as a download. So they will be there for you to print off yourself if you want to duplicate the projects that I have already done. And the details for those will be in the description of this video. So you can see, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I have gone through quite a few of them. If I want to take that off the page, I can literally press the delete button on my keyboard by clicking on each one of them, and it takes me back to the image or the previous image. So you can keep going through this and taking them back until you get to the ones you want. Now I've got 2 pages on here, and I'm just going to click in the middle and get rid of the index. And you can see that I've got these lovely delphinium flowers. But these pages link to all of the different florals. And I'm just going to draw your attention up here to where it says Stephanie 1 and page 1. Now on Stephanie 1, this is one of the projects that I started earlier, that I'm going to be showing and demonstrating for you. Page 1 is the page that I've just been working on. And if I want to get myself a new page, I literally click new and it will come up, as you can see there. So let's get rid of the grid and the ruler once more. And I'm going to go into the cardstock. And this time, again, just pulling on the index, I'm not going to go through all of these for you individually. Don't want to spend too much time doing that. But if you're missing any of the elements working with Minecraft Studio, then don't forget those free monthly classes are an absolute dream. And of course, the education at the top. So I'm choosing just a couple of these backgrounds and delete off those elements. Now let me talk to you about how I use this part of our screen that you can see here. So this part of it, I imagine, is my cutting mat. And this part of it, around, all this stuff around, is my desk. So normally I would have all these things around that I'd maybe be working on, but I'd have them there ready at the side. The next thing that I'm going to look at is my florals. Well, there's a lot of these. And these are all flowers that I've painted for you at various different times. And what I've done is I've made it so that each of these individually can be used as they are. You've got some of them already in little mini bouquets, and you've also got some that are in compositions. So taking a look through it, you'll see roses, you're going to see the poppies, you'll see lots of leaves, and of course all of the flower heads. So now I'm going to go into my flower collection, having looked at the index, and I'm just going to pull a few of them onto the page. Let's take some irises. And do you know what, everybody? This is a great way of making your own teaching guides. So imagine what you did was you chose the flowers that you wanted, and you then went on to printed these off onto a piece of cardstock, then chose to do an extra little bit of work where you use some acetate and you practice your own flowers. Now that is a pretty awesome thing. So you can create your own designs. I love the fact that you've got the opportunity to do that. Okay, so I've chosen quite a random selection of leaves and different elements that I'm using here. And I want to just in a moment come on back to this page and show you how I would put these together as a composition. And I've purposely made it very random. So I've still got my lace to look at. So I'm going to go and get myself a new page, take off the grid, take off the ruler, and let's go into our lace. Now we've put the lace on here in a dark colour, so it's in on black, but we can change this lace to any colour, and I'll make sure I show you that as part of what I'm doing. But it gives you 80 different pieces of lace for you to be able to work with. So whether it's a border, a pattern or a design, we're going to be able to work with those pieces of lace. I'm going to knit back to page 2, and I'm just going to pull on a couple of pieces just onto my cutting mat, onto my desk, not my cutting mat, so that they're ready for us to work on later. And then finally, we've got our templates. So again, I'm going to get myself a new page just so that, I'm just going to cancel that, sorry, I was starting to open one of the old ones. Just going to show you that I've got here the frame. There's my frame. So if I take one of the backgrounds that I've got, just going to let the computer just catch up. There we go. I'm just going to pick that background and I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to take it back into that last page. Let's just paste it on there. And if I place that there and I bring this to the front, so think about layering your pages up on top of each other. That's going to allow me to print exactly the right size and the right amount, the frame that I need for my project. Okay, so let's go back and start doing some designing. And first of all, I'm going to go back into, I believe it was in page 3. Actually, I'm going to get rid of that one and I'm going to work in here. So we're going to work with these designs and build ourselves a little montage of flowers. So the first thing that I'm going to do is copy this and paste it. And I'm going to paste it a couple of times so we can see. I don't need to tell it to copy twice. So I click onto the design, I right click it, I tell it to copy, then I right click again, it tells me to paste it. So I've pasted one on top, and if I now go paste again, it's given me, whoops, another one there. So I've created a lot of these irises now, so I'm just going to make that one a little bit smaller, move that up. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller, slightly different size. I want them to be random. I'm going to have one that's really quite small. I'll put that one down there. This one maybe just a little smaller, and this one a bit smaller still. I'll move that one out of the way because I don't know whether I'm going to need it. So I'm going to start off by building the design that I've got, and I'm going to use this as my stem. But at the moment, first of all, it isn't joining up to the design, so I need to rotate that slightly and push that up to the top so it goes behind this particular part of the design. Now, I'm not actually convinced that that one looks big enough, so I'm going to go back into my florals, go down to where my leaves are, and start looking for something that is a little bit bigger. So we'll come back down here. Sorry, I've got happy fingers moving a little bit too quickly. And I think this one may be more what I'm looking for. Absolutely. So let's take that one, put it to one side. This one looks quite fat, so I'm going to make it taller and slimmer just by stretching it. And I'm also going to make it narrower like that, and then move that up there. That looks much more as if actually the leaves are just going over the stem a little tiny bit. So let's move that up a little bit more. We're going to move this flower down here, and I'm just going to rotate it a little, just like that. But let's bring that to the front. So I'm just order and pull to the front. This little one, I think that's going to look great if I have it up somewhere near the top, but I'm going to put that one there. Let's try moving that leaf and putting this one just so it's attaching to that part of the design. I'm just going to bring that up somewhere about there. The leaf that I've got here, I want some more of those. So I'm going to copy it and paste. And let's paste it again. So I now know I've got 3 of them. So that's 1, 2, and the third one I've already used. I'm going to bring this one here and make it quite a bit smaller. Yep. And then let's rotate it a little more. So that's going to sit just there. And I'm going to now, instead of actually, I'm just going to move that one back. Instead of actually bringing this flower to the front, I'm just going to leave that flower where it is, make it that one a little bit longer, because we do get our flowers overlapping each other. So let's just bring this one here, and I'm going to bring that one to the front. So my order, bring to the front, so you can see I've now got that one there. So we're starting to get a little story. This little flower needs to be really quite small, quite tiny in fact. And, whoops, let me hold that there. Okay, so let me give you a little tip. Just get rid of that little flower and move it out of the way. If you've got a little composition like this and you're happy with it, and you feel like it's sort of looking like you want it to, one of the things that I do is I will get hold of the whole thing and group it. Whoops, I've got it just trying to group up there. Let me just get rid of you a minute. Just give that a moment for the computer to catch up. And if you've done something that you're not sure about, use your undo button because it'll allow you to undo something. So I can move these out the way and I can group the whole thing. However, the other area to go to is right over here, and I'm going to go up to layers. And here you can see all of the different layers that I've got. Now, if I don't want to move that anymore, I can turn that layer off, or I can turn that layer off so that they're hidden, but also likewise, you can then bring them back into place. But this allows me to see what order my layers are in. And if it's this one that I actually want to get hold of, I know where it is in the actual list of designs I've got. So I'm going to bring this leaf and I'm just going to turn that, and we're going to just stretch that a little bit because we want it a little bit bigger to be there. Now, I'm not sure about that shade of green, so I think I might need to have a look at that in a moment. But in the meantime, I am going to copy that and paste it. So there it is. And I'm now going to flip it horizontally. So it's here. We're going to pull that design so it's a little bit thinner and a little bit longer. Rotate it completely in the other direction. Let's just get that look so that it's a little bit more vertical. You can see there, so that's sort of starting to come together. I am going to use this other flower now, but I need to bring that to the front. So bring this one right to the front and take it up there, like this little flower behind. I'm going to take a bit of greenery. So let's see where we're going to want to put this. So I have a little bit of greenery. That needs to go to the back there. And if I send it backwards, it only goes back one layer. So you need to think about that when you are doing this. So I'm now going to copy this one because I want some more of these leaves and paste. And let's see where we've got that one. And this one's going to be much, much smaller. We're going to put that so it's coming off that little leaf up there. I've got this greenery that I now need to rotate and make it a little bit smaller and bring that into the design just by stretching it up a little bit. Do I like that? I don't think it actually goes with this design, so I'm going to delete that one off the page. So I'm going to get that one and just delete it. I'm going to bring in this piece of greenery because I think that might be more suitable. And let's rotate that a little. Now I do definitely, whoops, just going to undo that because I've moved a couple of things. So I'm going to undo. Right, this piece of greenery here, I like it. I think it fits well, but I don't like the colour. So I'm going to go into my effects. I'm going to look at what I've got over here and I'm going to go into the Q button. And I'm just going to slide that along until I get to a colour that I think is going to work better with this design. And I'm wanting a little bit more green in there with a bit of yellow. So let's take a look at that and see where. Let's move that button a little bit further back. I think we're about there. So I'm just going to bring that down. And I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. So I'll pop that piece in. I'm also just going to copy it and paste another one. And the reason I'm using this one to paste is because I know it's the right colour. So we'll just bring that piece out. We'll pop that. I'm going to send that all the way to the back. So to the back. And can you see how easy it is to start to build up your own little bouquet of flowers? These little leaves are super cute. So we'll have a few of those. Whoops, not there, we won't. We'll just move that back. So I'm just going to get hold of those little leaves and do that. I need to just move that out of the way. So I've got these little tiny leaves and we're just going to put a few of them in. And I'm going to copy and paste those. And we'll bring a few more here, but just turn it slightly. And I need to get those sent to the back. So we send those to the back. Now, these little tiny flowers, let's make a few of them. So let's copy and paste. Now, what you'll notice is you've also got a keyboard shortcut. So where it says Control V, that's actually showing you how to use your keyboard to actually create more of these little flowers. But I'm not going to say I'm not an expert with a keyboard, so I prefer to use my little mouse. But don't forget, our flowers need to be different sizes, so we're going to change some of the sizes of the designs that we've got. This is a great way of you being able to build your design, but also look at some of the different flowers and different effects. I don't think I need that big leaf, so I'm going to delete that one off the page. I'm also going to delete the bud because I'm happy with what I've got. I'm going to think about whether I want these sweet peas. I don't think I do. I actually think I'm quite happy with that as a composition. So if I were to catch all of this, whoops, I'm just going to go and catch all of it. Let's just go in and undo that and group it. What you would be able to do is group the whole thing, and that then allows us to be able to use that design and actually put that onto one page. Now I'm just going to let the computer catch up with me for a moment where it's deciding what it's doing, and then we'll come back to this in just a second. So it was taking a few minutes to actually finish all the applications I've done because I was pulling in lots of things and layering and also repeating the application. So sometimes it just takes a moment to catch up. We're caught up now. So what I'm going to do is just bring on this lace frame that I've got. And I'm going to bring this on both sides of the design. And what I want to do is I actually want to flip this. I want to flip it horizontally so that it'll match the frame. Now, immediately, because I've already brought one on and I brought the other one, I've got to try and match up the size. That's one of the reasons why, if you are duplicating elements, I'm just going to get rid of these off the page because we don't need them. If you are duplicating elements, work with the ones that you've already got that are the right size. And then actually, I'm going to be flipping this one. So you'll see how, because I worked with the one I'd already flipped, I've got two of them absolutely the same size. That one I can now take off the page. This one I can bring on the page, lining it up at the top. I can use my grid if I choose to, but I've got there this beautiful floral design, which I'm now going to send the lace right to the back, which I'm going to do on both sides. And you can see just how pretty that lace is, and that's building the front of our card. Now, the one thing I want to do is I want to just show you what would happen if we want to change the colour of this lace. So I'm going to go into my effects button, and I'm actually going to just turn the colour of that black to red. Doesn't really matter what shade of red, but I like to go all, how far should we go? Let's go, whoops, there we go. Just go back on it again. And I've actually gone all the way with the red. I'm now going to change that colour, and you can see how you can start to bring in other shades. So get it to a tone that you quite like. So I'm going to quite purple. Then going to bring down the saturation, so I'm bringing down the colour that you've got, and that's looking really quite nice. I'm just going to move this one out the way, because instead of repeating all of those actions again, I will just do that copy and duplicate or copy and paste action. I'm just looking at how that colour works with the designs, and I do really like it. If I wanted to bring the brightness up, I can do that a little. It looks quite nice, really soft. Or I can take it and make it really quite dark. So I think I'm just going to make that quite soft so that it's the flowers that are holding out. And then we're going to copy that, and I'm just going to paste that in place. And I've got another one of them there, which I'm now going to flip it horizontally so that it lines up, and send that all the way to the back. And I've now created my own beautiful topper with that lovely lace finish that's framing the design, and the design's going over the lace itself. It couldn't be prettier than that. However, we may want to do one more thing. So I'm going back to files and into the backing papers. And I'm looking at all of these really pretty papers, and there were a couple that I saw right at the very beginning that were lovely, and this one in particular caught my eye. And I'm just going to just reduce that down in size so that it will fit behind this whole image. So we're just going to take that right to the back. And although it was a busy picture, you can see it absolutely works beautifully. It sits behind there. I've created my card front. It's elegant, it's delicate. And I think that's not far off me being able to print that out and make that into a lovely card. Okay, so that's one of the designs for you. So I'm just going to save that image. And to do that, I choose what the file name is, and I'm going to actually call this Demo 1. So you guys know that that's what I've called the file, and I'm going to save that. And I'm now going to open one of the other designs that I've already got for you. So let's go right down here and go into this particular one and have a look at this. Okay, so I'm going to close page 2. And I think that I've closed in the right one there, and take a look at this. And I want to talk to you about how I've assembled it. So first of all, both this larger circle and the smaller circle are built from the same elements. And all I've done is reduce this one down to be able to put my sentiment in. So for this particular one, again, I'm going to take off the grid and the ruler because I prefer to work without them. I'm just going to get hold of that image, which I've grouped together, and move that out to the side. And let's go into the elements that we're going to need. So first of all, I'm going to need my florals. And in the florals, I mentioned right at the beginning that down at the bottom, you're going to find some lovely compositions that have already been created for you. And one of them is this really lovely crescent. Now that crescent looks superb, rotated in any direction. So I chose to take that crescent and actually duplicate it on both sides. So you've seen me doing that, so I'm not going to repeat that process, but I am going to show you where the lace came from. And the lace came from down at the bottom in the collection that we've got, and it's one of those lovely circles, and there are lots of these to choose from. This one is particularly nice. It looks very, very, very pretty. This one is one of the ones that I worked with. Here's another one that gives you a little bit more detail. And finally, just so that I get you the right one, this one was the one. No, it wasn't. It was one that I worked with. Must be this one. Oh, I'll tell you what, easiest way for me to just remember which one it was. Not that it really matters. In fact, I'm going to stick with this one because I think this one's quite good. Let's move that out the way. Okay. So what I've got is, I've got a lovely wreath. And again, this is black, so I don't want it to be black. I want it, I've got an extra element there that I don't need. So what I don't want to do with that is leave it the colour it is. So I need to go into my effects. I need to go to the colours and change that colour, pick up the red. Let's just pick up the design. Let's just change that red, get it to another colour, and then look at the hue that I'm going to print. And I want something that's blue. So something that sort of comes into the blue tones. And this is one of my favourite parts of working with Minecraft Studio because I love colour so much. I love the way that we can move the sliders, changing the saturation, changing the colour, the tone. Look at that purple, it's absolutely stunning. Changing the contrast so I can get a little bit more contrast in there. The brightness, I can lift the brightness and make it very pastel looking, or I can take that brightness quite down and make it very dark. So I'm loving that colour. I'm just going to send that one to the back. And again, you can see there is the flower sitting over the front of the design. Or to make that like the one on the side, all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it and then I'm going to paste it. I'm going to bring that one to the other side and I'm going to flip it. So we'll flip this one horizontally. Oops, no we won't. We're going to flip it back. So I'm going to go backwards and I'm going to flip it vertically. Okay, now the reason that it flipped horizontally, if you remember, I actually rotated the design a little bit at the beginning, didn't I? So I changed the orientation of it, which I happened to forget, but that gives you an idea of what that would look like. To make the small one, you're going to take all of this together and group it, which you can see there. So we'll group it up there. And that then allows us to make it all smaller in one go. But we need to put our sentiment, and I work with mine a little bit bigger so I could choose where to put the words. And the actual sentiment is from our files because you've got an alphabet in there. So let's choose to write a lovely word in there. I've got an upper and a lowercase. So I'm going to go with my upper and my lowercase. As I go past the letters for the word that I want to type, I'm going to pull the letters onto the page. And once I've got them all together, I'm going to move that out the way. There's my little best wishes that I did earlier. Whoops, let's just get hold of you and move you. It doesn't want to move together. I'm just going to bring it in and do that all in one go. So what you do have to be is, don't be trigger happy like I am. I'm always in trouble for going too fast. The computers do have to think about it a little bit more than we do. So there, everything's together. I'm just going to group that, and that allow me to move it all together. Yes, I get accused of tapping the keyboard far more than you need to. And of course, that is what happens when you're impatient. But there we go. Right, we're going to group those together and make that smaller. And I'm going to use this to check whether the L's the right size, which absolutely it is. I'm now going to ungroup it. So it now allows me to move these letters into place. Now you will have your own way of doing this. You may even have an easier way of doing it. Find what works for you. I like the elements of the design. I like the elements of being able to play with what I'm creating. And the other thing, while I'm looking at this, I've got down here, I've actually got a slider which allows me to zoom in and out of the design so you can play with the elements so you can see what you're doing and make sure you're designing to the right size. Once you've done that, you can collect all of that together in one place, group that together, and we can reduce that down to make ourselves a lovely little design that actually then complements the one that we've created. So whether we put it in the center like I have here, or we use it in a different position, like the image I'm going to be working with, you will find that you've got some great results and some fun things you can do with it. So that's another little idea of a composition for you. So now that project's been saved, I'm actually going to assemble it and show you how you can put it together. I've already done a lot of the cutting because I'm conscious of you sitting and just watching something that you've seen before. So I'm going to take some of the different tapes and glues that I've got. And what I've done is I've printed out the elements. I put it onto a background, one of the printed backgrounds, and you also saw me make the little tag. Now I've chosen a cardstock that matches the design perfectly, and I've done some pink, some mats and layers. Very, very simple. And the reason that I wanted to do that is if I wanted this completely flat, like the design that you can see here, I would be using my flat glue, or I would do faux mats and layers and actually print it out. But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to use my foam on a roll because I want some dimension to this project. And it's the dimension that creates the real life shadows that actually add to the design and make it look so interesting. So I'm just going to take off the backing of this design, do some mats and layers, and you'll see just how simple it is to create these card fronts, and as if we have been doing our own painting, but with this faux finish that is so super clever. That one's ready to go on to another one. So again, I'm using the foam on a roll. I like to tear mine because it's quick and easy. Lots of you will prefer to use a pair of scissors because, of course, it does look incredibly neat. So taking the backs off here, doing this little bit of crafting that you can see, I'm just pulling this all together, and this will bring my card in one piece. And I'm just going to take that, layer up the design that I've got, making sure that I've got a nice even border around the edge, and there we've created the design. The actual card front, I've created an extension to my 8x8 card, which is going to go there, and this will sit on top. Now, the little sentiment that I've got, which is absolutely super cute, has been designed so that it's big enough to fit inside of this card front, and it finishes off the whole design. So quick and easy to do, so very, very professional looking, and you've created your own page and paper. Now, there is one other different design that I'd like to share with you, and I've got a couple of little tricks on this one. I'm just going to take you back to the computer for just a moment to get into something that's quite quick and easy to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick any flower for the purpose of this demonstration. So I'm just going to pull on here. Actually, you get one that's got a little bit more little pieces coming off the edges of it. There we go. So I've got this one. It's got lots of little pieces coming off the edge. If I want to change the colour of that, if I go into my hues and I just run the slider across, I can take it to where I get to almost sort of like a reddy brown, which is really quite pretty. And then I can change the contrast and the brightness. So I'm just going to bring up the brightness a little bit. And let's get rid of that grid and that ruler again, as we always prefer to. And what I want to do now is take that image and I want to put a drop shadow behind it. So I'm going to copy and paste one of them. And there is that second design. And to be able to get this to be pasted, I'm just going to blur it right down. Really blur that down, then send that to the back. So we're going to send that to the back and just drop that behind the flower so that I've got this lovely soft blur. Now I can decide to blur it a little bit more, which let's just make sure I've got the right one before I blur again. So I can blur that a little bit more so I can get it really, really blurred. And also I can change the opacity so I can make it very transparent. So you can see I'm almost making it, it's disappearing as I'm moving the slider from dark to light. So that lovely soft drop shadow behind your flowers is a really useful one to do. Okay, let's go back to some paper crafting and I'll share that. Let me just also save this for you. So we're going to save that as demo 3. So there, that's saved. I'm going to go on to this piece that I've already got printed out and cut for you to just share with you a couple of ideas. So this is the one that I talked to you about when I showed you bringing on the template to create the sides of what's going to be a box frame. You're going to need 2 of those printed because we're going to work with both of them. I've got a few other pages printed out, but this is the topper sheet that I created. So here's the image that a similar image, the one I've just demonstrated. Of course, I've used the hue slider and then the brightness and the contrast to be able to get a different colour. And what I've also done then is put that drop shadow behind so you can see that shadow just coming off the edge. Now, I could have positioned this in the middle of the card so that the whole of that was my card front, but I wanted to share with you another little idea. And this is another little cheat for you, which is a great one if you're somebody who paints, but you're new to card making. So let me just get my little frame and then share this. So what I've done is I've taken the design that I've got here and I have literally cut round, leaving a small amount of space around where the shadow is. So this is what we call fussy cutting. So you are trimming round the areas of the design and leaving a small space so that you actually have got that area and it's fussy cut. And you keep going like that until you've got something like this. And once you've got this and it's cut all the way around the outside edge, that little bit of white that you've got, if I place it onto a white background, it hides the fact that it's been cut, but it also allows me to go bigger than A4 because at the moment my restrictions are working within the boundaries of the size of the printed page on my screen. The other thing that I did was I pulled a second one of this images. So I copied and duplicated it, pasted it. So I brought another one of these down and I've then cut out all of these flowers so that I've got spare flowers to be able to add some dimension to the design. The frame that I've got, I actually checked the length of the frame with the page that I've got so that this is just slightly bigger than the page. When you get these, you're going to need to cut out each of the panels that we've got. That panel, when it's cut, will look like this and then needs scoring. And the reason that I wanted to share this with you is I want to show you how to score this design. So what you're going to do is take your ruler, and the first place that you score is in this little groove here. And it needs to be a straight line straight down to the bottom. The second one that you score is in this little point here. And you come straight down to the bottom. And then finally, the space that's left here and the space that's left here, you divide directly in half and you score down both of those. When you're rolling these, it's really important that you roll them all in the same direction because you need 4 identical pieces to be able to make this frame. Once you've got those 4 pieces, and I'm just going to get myself some glue. Just this bottle's quite empty, but it will come down in just a moment. Oops, there we go. And the easiest way of doing this is, so like that, flat, along this edge here. And then I bring over that bottom and I press it down like that. So that creates my box. Let me show you that again. So you fold down that panel flat. And the reason I wanted to share this with you was I taught a class last weekend and I showed the ladies how to do this as part of the class. And every one of them said, that's not how I do mine, but your way is much easier. So I thought I need to just share this with you so that you can see just how easy it is to make these frames. And then the other part of this that I need to share is that every month I do a free painting class. And if you've ever missed those classes, please do try and join in because they give you the chance to be able to try and ask questions, but also see different ways of painting. If this has just caught your eye and you feel like you'd like to learn to be able to paint yourself. And I know you're sitting there probably saying, I don't paint, I can't paint. I'd like to say to you, I would love to teach you. So please, let's have the chance to do some painting because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be able to teach you. This is an interesting one because I haven't scored it evenly, it's more challenging to stick down. So make sure that you score evenly. That's a definite little tip for you. I'm just going to get that one flat, that one's flat, and that one's flat. And the way we put this together, you take one of the flat edges and I take one of the corners and I tuck those into each other. That leaves me an open edge at this end. And the next thing to do is to get yourself a little bit of removable tape. So something like a stencil tape or a low tack tape. We can then put a little bit of glue on that top corner and the bottom corner there. Join those two together. And while we're waiting for that glue to dry, if you take your stencil tape and wrap it round, you can then use, you've got free hands to be able to work. So across that corner, across the bottom of that corner, into there, like that. Take your stencil tape and make that work. So I'm just going to move that tape into a better position. So we'll go there. Actually, make sure that's level. So that's the next bit. And then finally, this is my last one. Here, across that corner, across there, and across there. So that tucks in like that. That one will tuck in like that. And the best way of doing this is get one of them in, put that tape on, and get the second one in, and get that tape on. Now you've got it all flat, make sure that the tape is all in place, and that needs to be put to one side to dry for just a couple of minutes. So we'll just leave that in place, that glue dry, and there we go. So there's our frame. So that's now just waiting to dry. And then when that's dry, it's going to sit over the top of my piece of white card. My flower and all the detail is going to go inside. I'm going to let the flowers from this part of it just fade away into the back of the frame, something I've been doing a lot lately, and I'm loving the effect that you get. And then I'm just going to put my decoupage in place. And I'm going to do that by layering up the elements that I've got and taking some of them and taking them over pieces that are already there, so that I've got lots of dimension to this pretty design that you've got. You can see here that all of this starts to come together and give you that extra little bit of beautiful decoration. And that, lovely crafters, is how you bring your decorative painting to life as a 3D project. And once this is dry, I'd be removing this tape to be able to give myself that beautiful, really delicate design. And one last thing I just want to share with you is these colours. And I pulled one of the delphiniums on, and in fact, we've got time for me to just very quickly show you this because it is super, super clever. So I'm going to move that out the way and let me just share this one with you. So let's get a new page. I'm going to get rid of my grid and my ruler, and I really would love you to play with this because it is such fun. So let's take that delphinium and I'm just going to bring it up here. So let's put it just there, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it, and we'll paste it, and we'll put 4 of them on the page. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we come into our effects, and I'm going to go into the hue button. And I'm just going to look at what colour I can get out of this. So you can see I can change this and I can get the whole things moving into one shade, which does look really quite interesting. If I take that back and I now go into my rainbow button, I can look at how I can make this rainbow. Now that's quite pretty. So I've changed the blue, but it's kept the green. That looks quite nice. So I'm going to move that one into here. And I'm just going to look at what happens if with the next one, if I take a little bit of the red out. And I think I've got, you can see here how it's just changed. I'll move that one out of the way. I've just changed that by moving some of the red. So I've now got 3 different colours of delphinium. This one, I'm going to come onto here and I'm just going to change the brightness. So I'm just going to darken it a little bit. lighten it, darken it, darken it. So I've now got 3 different colours of delphinium. If I then make this one a little bit smaller, so that one's going to go to the front, and I make that one, oh no, actually it's in a different position to the others, so I quite like that. That one I love where it is, and this one I'm just going to stretch it slightly so it's a little bit taller, and let's just move you behind there. This one I'm going to copy it, and let's paste one more of them. So we'll have you just there, but I'm also going to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to make it so it's quite small, but a little bit taller, stretched out, not quite so tall, there. But what you can now see is how you've got this little group of delphinium flowers that look like, and because of the way I've got the small one over the top, the leaves from this one are poking out and behind, so it looks like I've just built a little border of flowers. Isn't that exquisite? That is what this is all about. So please play with the colours. I know I took a lot of time copying and pasting and playing with colours and moving them around, but do you know what? That's the fun bit, because you get to put a colour and you think, oh, I wonder what if, and just try the if, because I think you'll love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for buying into my craft studio, Painting Perfection. It's been my pleasure, and I'll see you again soon.
If you want to see more from Highlight Crafts, make sure you click the like button, subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below, and click the bell icon to receive notifications of all of our future content. You can also click here to see our latest video, or click here to see more videos like this one.